For a governor of any state to declare a state of emergency and mobilize the National Guard, it's typically in response to a natural disaster. While Floridians are accustomed to that protocol with all of the recent hurricanes, they received horrifying news overnight from Governor Rick Scott, who was forced to take this extreme action over who, not what, is showing up in the state any day now. This is a first in history to declare such a need for assistance based on what these individuals plan to inflict on innocent people. When you're a human but are so dangerous that you have to be treated like a Category 5 hurricane, there's something seriously wrong. The problem starts with the fact that liberals have chosen to ignore these people for too long, but the danger is clear and present whether they choose to acknowledge the issue or not. Governor Scott isn't playing this political rhetoric game as he's more concerned with citizens' safety no matter who is offended, and in this case, has every right to be. At the urging of President Donald Trump, it was no accident that the Department of Homeland Security and the FBI have officially decided to classify the hard-left Antifa group what they are: terrorists. These domestic terrorists are now expected to take over Florida, having stepped up their plan of destruction and power after learning of an event that is set to take place. Since they don't agree with other people's use of their First Amendment right, they will impose their will in the most horrific way possible. For this reason, Scott knew it was necessary to pull out all the stops in addition to deploying an actual army of police officers to defend the venue from what's certain to be complete chaos. When Antifa found out that white nationalist Richard Spencer was coming to Florida for a paid speaking engagement, they decided that they needed to meet him there and bring hell with them. USA Today reports, Alachua County Sheriff Sadie Darnell had asked Scott to declare the emergency as the university prepares for Spencer's visit. The governor's executive order places the state agency usually responsible for hurricanes at the front of the effort to preserve order during the event. It also places the Florida National Guard on standby. Anti-fascist groups, known as Antifa, plan to protest the white nationalist event. Both sides have talked on social media about using violence. I find that the threat of a potential emergency is imminent and hereby declare a state of emergency in Alachua County, Scott wrote it in an executive order he signed on Monday. While the massive response in preparation for the speech was criticized for being overkill, Scott defended his decision by pointing out what liberals seem to consistently miss. We live in a country where everyone has the right to voice their opinion. However, we have zero tolerance for violence, and public safety is always our number one priority, Scott said. This executive order is an additional step to ensure that the University of Florida and the entire community is prepared so everyone can stay safe. We can thank the existence of these terrorists and the plague they are on society, on former President Barack Obama. Prissy Holly for Freedom Daily reports, for the past 8 years, Barack Hussein Obama did everything in his power to destroy our country by dividing Americans along political, racial, and economic lines. After taking a sledgehammer to our country and our Constitution, Obama then gave America one final parting gift in the final days of his presidency, where he secretly funneled billions of dollars to radical left-wing activist groups. Groups like Antifa have now rapidly risen to power thanks to Obama, where these domestic terrorists are now serving as the militant wing of Obama's shadow government. Antifa was not declared as a terrorist group by accident or without all the indicators there that would earn such a title, and needed to be treated as the threat they are. Since well before the August 12th rally in Charlottesville, Virginia, turned deadly, DHS has been issuing warnings about the growing likelihood of lethal violence between the left-wing anarchists and right-wing white supremacist and nationalist groups, Politico reported. Previously unreported documents disclose that by April 2016, authorities believed that anarchist extremists were the primary instigators of violence at public rallies against a range of targets. They were blamed by authorities for attacks on the police, government and political institutions, along with symbols of single quote "the capitalist system, racism, social injustice and fascism," according to a confidential 2016 joint intelligence assessment by DHS and the FBI. What's soon to happen in Florida is the start of something far worse that's been warned about, planned for November the 4th. There is every indication that streets have already been shut down ahead of this date due to what Antifa has promised to bring. We've had a taste of what this unrest looks like, but that's nothing compared to what's coming. Alt-left agitators are planning to stage mass riots in major cities on November the 4th, during which they hope to instigate a civil war that will lead to the regime change of the Trump administration, InfoWars reports. This plan was backed up by several other sources, such as the Daily Caller, who also reported on their plans. It's important to note that the FBI found that Antifa was learning their violent tactics from foreign anarchist extremist movements. This completely changed the nature of the game for them, since their motive was never about a movement or cause and completely about power and inflicting destruction to achieve it. There are groups of people that carry US passports who are going to other countries, learning from their not-so-free cultures how to bully their fellow Americans into doing whatever these traitors want. Thanks Freedom Daily for helping with this.